Oh, hello, yeah. Well, following on from yesterday, we have another pair of American grifters who are going to tell it like it is. Yeah, the podcasters bringing glamour to MAGA. Most liberal men are scrawny, offended, and gay. Okay, then, if you like. That's the sort of things you can say about pretty much anybody, I would have thought, if you don't like them enough. Anyway, these 20-something Christian conservatives are on a mission from God, presumably, to end the misery of modern feminism. Yes, and as you might expect, they come from an incredibly wealthy background and have never done anything in their lives, who are undoubtedly they're going to tell other women who aren't in quite exactly the same position economically that what they really need to do is submit to their man. That'll be their shtick, won't it? Because that goes down well with all the other very, very powerful men that they're going to be working with. Anyway, delights, no doubt, from the Heritage Foundation and other people. Which brings us perhaps neatly on to all of those people that we should submit to, because of course we have the ongoing saga of non-Prince Andrew, which I imagine that the British media collectively are in a hurry to bury very quickly, because instead of sort of saying, well, hang on, aren't there a lot more questions to be asked here? I think it's been decided that we've taught him a lesson now. We've wagged our finger at him, and that's quite enough. And there's no point in bringing legal proceedings into the whole thing, except of course, well, there is. And on a wider level, there's that very much wider level about constitutional monarchy and why exactly we have the monarchy bit of it. But I would imagine that in 2 or 3 days, the British media will decide that that isn't actually what we need to be talking about, because it's done and dusted now, even though it really, really, really isn't. Yes, still, that's wealth and privilege for you. You mustn't, whatever you do, upset it, even when it's patently out to shaft you, one way or another. Which brings us perhaps neatly on to the Reform Party, and this from the Daily Telegraph. Sam Ashworth-Hayes, Reform's biggest problem is obvious. These charts prove it. The playbook failing for Labour could still be the answer for Nigel Farage as he seeks to hold together an unwieldy coalition, yes. Which is actually the Daily Telegraph managing to figure out that the vast majority of people that are going to vote Reform live in very, very poor areas of the country where Reform, in terms of their economic policies, will really shaft them. You can see from this graph here, which was quite nice, thank you very much Telegraph for putting that one up, that those constituents that have actually returned Reform MPs are amongst some of the poorest in the country. And yet, bizarrely enough, the people there haven't exactly been told exactly what, 30p Lee's plans are for their money, if you want to put it that way. Now, we can bang on about benefits claimants and those evil lazy gits sitting around in wheelchairs an awful lot if you want to. But I don't know if Nigel Farage is going to be returned to from Clacton if he continues dripping away at people's consciousness that actually what he wants to do is make his constituents a lot poorer. It always astounded me with, these with Conservative MPs in the last few parliaments that we've had, that they would consistently vote to make their own constituents poorer and then complain bitterly that there were no shops open on the high street. But that's libertarian economic thinking for you, because of course the only people that are going to save Clacton are all the multi-millionaires that are there, and what we need to do is give them a tax break and then they'll invest in the town, won't they? Because that's definitely reality, and that's definitely what's going to happen, definitely under Nigel Farage and 30p Lee and the rest of them. Or could it just be that they know exactly what they're doing and that isn't really their plan, and their plan is just to pretend that these questions don't need to be asked, and we won't actually talk about it, and we'll certainly use all our friends in the media to make sure that it isn't, and then we can sell you another pig in a poke. And if anything goes wrong, well, it's bound to be the civil servants' fault, or the migrants, or the trans people, or the teachers, or the junior doctors, or the train drivers. Yes, all those people that don't actually, make any of those decisions whatsoever. Odd world that we live in, isn't it? Yes, but that's modern representative democracy, except of course it's only representative for a very, very small section, people right at the top. Anyway, do have a lovely day, and do remember, submit to your man. He's bound to be right after all, isn't he? And, if he's just a bad man, he's probably just one bad apple amongst the, well, perfectly accepted nature of patriarchy. Enjoy.